views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
How's everyone doing? Hi, if I can kindly ask everyone to have a seat, we're going to get started. Good evening again. My name is Sandra Apia, and I am with the host organization Face to Face Africa. Welcome to all of you. It's so great to be here with such incredible women, talented, intelligent, and we're super excited about our discourse today. And so I just want to get straight to the program. We're running a little bit behind schedule. There's some rain out there, but we're definitely looking forward to a great event. Face to Face Africa is thrilled to host our 6th year celebrating Pan-African culture and excellence. As we start seeing more success stories coming out of the Pan-African community, it is always necessary to take a step back and celebrate all the great things that are going on in our community. And so that is why we host the annual Pan-African Weekend in its 6th year, and it has grown in influence as a staple event within the Pan-African community that brings all of us together to network, meet each other, have important dialogue like these, and to just celebrate all that is great and marvelous about us. And so we're very excited about this weekend. We have a 4-day, it's actually from here. We have another event tomorrow at Supernova, the networking mixer, Ayapa, which is actually one of the longest running networking mixer for African professionals here in New York City. So we're very excited about that. And then on Saturday, we have the Facelist Awards Gala, where we're celebrating Pan-African achievement. We have an incredible list of people who we're honoring. And then we're closing off on Sunday with a jazz brunch also at Supernova, which is literally right across the street. And so, but you know, it is absolutely fitting that we start the Pan-African Weekend. We kick off with the Women's Forum. For too long, the voices of women of African descent have been marginalized, ignored, or silenced. But we've always known that African women are strong, resilient, and passionate people who work fiercely for the people and causes they care about. So today, you will hear from two very intriguing panels of trailblazing women who are changing the narrative on what it means to be a woman of African descent in today's world and how they are creating new paths for the next generation. The Pan-African Weekend would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And this year we're so fortunate to have our returning sponsor for the second time, Prudential, as well as a new sponsor, Toyota, and they are investing tremendously into our community and are really committed to equipping you and I with the resources and tools that we need to be successful. And so we're very excited to have them partner with us to bring you this whole weekend of festivities. And so very briefly, I have two of the representatives from Prudential and Toyota here, and I just want to invite them to come up and welcome you and just say a few words. So please join me in welcoming Mia Phillips from Toyota and George Barnes from Prudential.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Hi, everybody. How are you feeling? You're looking excellent. Everybody looks fabulous. We are so happy at Toyota to be here for our first year sponsorship of the Pan-African Weekend. We understand, and with this particular audience in mind, I was really excited when I found out about the women's panel, because who runs the world? Absolutely, amen to that. Girls run the world. Nothing against you brothers in the room. You know, you have your thing too. But girls run the world. And we know that especially in the African and the African American community, when it comes to purchasing decisions and consumerism, African American and Pan-African women are making 80 to 90% of the purchase decisions in my household. When I was growing up with my mom, it was like 100%. My dad had a little say, but making the decisions and having those robust dialogues and moving us ahead as a people. So we're so happy to be here to sponsor not only tonight, but to sponsor this entire weekend and engage with you. Please feel free during the weekend. I will be here all weekend to come up and chat with me. I would love to chat with you. This is our first sponsorship, as I said, of this event, but of any Pan-African event. So I'm really interested from those of you in the audience who know of any other Pan-African events that are taking place in the different communities, where they're taking place, when they're taking place, and how we might be a part of engaging further and engaging in more robust dialogue. So enjoy this evening. I am so looking forward to the panelists and the dialogue that will happen here today, and have a great time. Thank you very much.
Well, we don't rule the world. We wait to get told what to do, and we fall in line, and we do it really well. Yes, I am outnumbered. Mama didn't raise no fools. On behalf of Prudential, I want to thank you for the opportunity to allow us to enter into this evening's event and even over the weekend. It really is about you. When Prudential decides that they want to make a splash into something, they do it after much, much study, much, back and forth. And this is an organization, I think I was privileged to talk to them maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. They actually met in my office, and we talked about how we could partner together and make a difference in the lives of Face to Face Africa and the Pan American group. And I will tell you that it's really cool to see something start from the beginning and have it come to fruition. And that is really cool. And now I've had the privilege of being with Prudential now almost 30 years. So I've seen us come almost 180 degrees when it comes to multicultural marketing and inclusion, where we now have marketing materials that look like people that I would talk to, right? And I say that to you sincerely, right? And that's a big step for a company that's been around since 1875, right? So our desire is to be here not just to be a sponsor, but to be engaged and to be present and to be involved. And the only way that we're going to have true success is that you then, as you see me over the course of the week, is that you engage me, right? You see me, I'm trying to be real cool and trying not to sweat, My hair is frizzy from all of the humidity, but I'm okay, I'm good. But engage us, talk to us about the things that you're concerned about from a financial perspective, right? That's what our table is about, for you to talk about what your dreams are, what your aspirations are from a financial perspective, because that's what we do. We ask in all of our marketing material for you to bring us your challenges so that we can help you make those challenges become actualities. And so we're here. We want to support you. Come to our table, ask us questions. You'll see us at different venues tomorrow, Saturday, and even I'm going to be at the jazz concert on Sunday morning. But I'm not going to be partying Saturday night because I'm just too old. It's just I can't do both. I can't be up early, right? You know what it means to get your hair done early in the morning. You got to start early, right? Now, but seriously though, we're here. We're here to support and to be a part. We don't want to be on the side. We want to be engaged. And we're asking you to engage us, much like she said. Engage us. Ask us questions, because we want to make this weekend a successful weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George and Mia. And as they said, make sure you stick around, because after the panel discussions, we're going to have the opportunity to go in there for some networking. We have some drinks, refreshments for you guys as well, so stick around. So let's get right into it. I'd like to introduce you to our moderator for our first panel, which is the Fashion and Entertainment panel. And just about a month ago, when we started the whole Pan-African Women's Forum, we thought it'd be great great to look at the community, do some research, and identify some women, across the diaspora who are doing incredible work, impacting their communities, and profile them on our website. And so we did just that and identified 12 young, influential Pan-African women to watch. And tonight, some of those women are here with us. I'm so excited for them to take the stage later on in the program and tell us a little bit about themselves and what they do. But our moderator actually was one of the people featured in the piece, and she is incredible. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for a while. Her name is Dr. Wendy Osefo, and she's an award-winning researcher, an influential voice in politics and social justice, and a highly sought-after political commentator and strategist. Wendy is a professor of education at the Johns Hopkins University and the founder and CEO of the 1954 Equity Project. She holds a BA in political science from Temple University, an MA in government from the Johns Hopkins University, and a Master of Science in Public Affairs from Rutgers University. Dr. Osefo made history in 2016 when she became the first Black woman to earn a PhD in Public Affairs from Rutgers University. Please help me welcome Dr. Osefo.
Thank you. Has someone ever said something about you and you're like, who are they talking about? All right, that was just my moment right there. Hi, how are you guys doing? All right, so we're going to have a good night, but this is not about me. This is about the beautiful women who are going to sit on this panel beside me. So I'm going to introduce them as I am introducing you. You want me to switch microphones? As I am introducing you, can you guys hear me? Am I supposed to turn on? Hello. So as I am introducing you, feel free to come up right after I say your name. Does that work? All right, sounds good. So first on the list. All right, y'all. We can't mess up the pronunciation because I'm Nigerian, so I gotta get this right. Even though she's not Nigerian. Okay, so the first person who's coming up to take the stage with me is Miss Amake Abebrese. Yes. Amake is an award-winning Ghanaian British actress. She's listed as one of Africa's top 20 actors by Film Contacts. Her film credits include Ties That Bind, which co-stars Omotola and Kimberly Elise, The Cursed Ones, which is co-starring Jimmy Jean Lewis, and the Netflix movie Beast of No Nations, which stars all of our husbands, Idris. This is a real conversation, right? Okay, so we can share him. Okay, so all of our husband, Idris Elba. She is also the founder of the I Love My Natural Skin Tone, Say No to Skin Bleaching campaign, which addresses the issue of skin bleaching in Africa. Please welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, next to join the stage, we have Miss Abrima Eriwa. Yes. She is a luxury fashion and international development expert with years of experience. She is the co-founder and president of Studio 189, a social enterprise launched in February of 2013 with actress and activist Rosario Dawson. Studio 189 aims to provide a platform to help promote and curate African and African-inspired content and brands through worldwide distribution and manufacturing of a private artisan-produced collection. Please welcome our next guest. Okay. Next on the list is Miss Mushia. Mushia is a jack of all trades. She is a breakout star of WeTV's reality hit show, Cutting It in the ATL, and she is giving y'all fan, honey. Okay? She is giving you fan as she walks with the glitter. Let's just take a moment. Yes, yes. Okay, I will continue. And the founder of The Damn Salon, which has married high fashion, edgy aesthetics with a celebration of women's curly and kinky textures to usher in a new era in natural hair. Her creation of My Natural Doll gave her the opportunity to personify the unappreciated beauty of brown-skinned, kinky-haired young girls deserving of a doll that looks like them. Amazing. All right, next to join us is Miss Mimi Plange. Guided by the principle she refers to as the democratization of luxury, Mimi creates clothes that are very much inspired by the modern American luxury sportswear tradition, with an infusion of dark romance and aimed at the new international and democratically minded luxury consumer. Africa remains a limitless font of inspiration for the Ghanaian-born designer who constantly seeks out the unusual and the lyrically found in the African traditions, landscapes, and lore, and reinterprets these themes in a refreshingly modern way. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Mimi Blanche. And last but not least, Igbo Quinn. Hey! My Igbo sister, Miss Chini Ogumike. I had to say that. Okay, all right, thank you. She is the first overall pick to the Connecticut Sun in the 2014 WNBA draft from Stanford University. She was the 2014 WNBA Rookie of the Year and the WNBA All-Star. Let's take that in because that is major. That's very major, okay? As the top pick in the 2014 WNBA draft, her and her sister Nneka made history, joining Peyton and Eli Manning as the only siblings ever selected #1 overall in the professional sports league. I mean, hello. Like, why am I here? I don't know. I'm surrounded by all these amazing people, but we are going to dive right in. So I want you guys, I introduced you using some words and some sentences that probably came off of a nicely crafted one-pager that you may have. But now you have an opportunity. If you could use 3 adjectives to describe yourself, what would they be? And we could start from left to right.
Pressure. Oh my goodness. I'm loud.
Okay.
Talkative
Oh, that's good.
and creative.
I like that.
Yes, I'll keep it short since
Okay.
other people are here. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, fan.
Confident, black,
Yes.
and powerful.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just going to do like a brief sentence on my background.
That is fine.
So my name is Ibrima Uria, born in New York, half West African from Ghana and Ivory Coast.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's from Mississippi, and I started a brand 5 years ago called Studio 189. That's who I am.
Okay.
Oh, 3 adjectives. Well, I'll just say original, focused, and modern.
Yes. There are not many words left for me besides tall.
Yes.
I would say fierce.
Yes.
Female, because in sports sometimes they don't think female and fierce go together, but
That's
it
right.
does. And free. I think we all are free women doing what we love to do.
Absolutely. Okay. So we are going to dive right in. My first question, and feel free to have this. We don't have to go in any order. Whatever the spirit touches you, just jump right in. At what point in your life did you realize that your creativity or your talent was more than just a hobby, and it was something that you needed to develop into a career?
I'll start.
Yes, please.
Well, I wanted to become a designer at an early age. I was around probably 12, 13 years old. I came here from Ghana when I was 5 years old, but I grew up in California. And I lived in a house that was very appreciative of eclectic things. And so my mom had modeled a little bit in Ghana. She had been on Drum magazine, which is a very prominent African magazine, and she loved fashion. And so it was in our house, and you know, but it seemed like a world that was very far and distant away from me because we weren't living like that kind of life. But I had an uncle that was an architect, and so he kind of introduced us into this world that, you know, he would make us watch operas and listen to classical music, and you know, at the end of the day, a lot of people you'll end up being a product of your environment. So a lot of those things stuck with me, and I started planning when I was in high school. I had a whole plan. I was going to come to New York. I was going to work for someone for a little while, and then I was going to start my line. And those are all the things that I've done. So I'm not going to talk too much because there's not a lot of time. But yeah.
But that's good. So it was at that moment that you realized that this is just more than a talent. I want to take it one step further.
Yeah, it was something that had been, for me, it was something that has been planned since I was a teenager. It wasn't something that came later on in life. It was something that was a dream, and I was thinking, how can I get there? And every step that I've taken has been for this story to happen.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to touch upon that?
Sure.
Sure.
Has anyone seen the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy?
Yes.
You know when the Coke bottle flies down and bam? That's sort of what happened with me, but it was with a growth spurt. My sisters and I'm born and raised in Houston, Texas. My family's from Nigeria, and Igbo, Igbo girl. And so I was about 10 years old when I started to grow. And my older sister, she's shorter than me. I've actually been in a family with 3 other sisters. My older sister, she plays for the Los Angeles Sparks. My younger sisters, they play basketball at Rice University as well. So we're a hooping family. No boys, but we hold it down. And so we started to grow. And the funny thing is, African parents, sometimes they tend to not know sports outside of soccer, which we call football. So, we were growing, and my mom, it was 4 girls in one house, and we were just tearing up the house. I mean, we did our homework, and by the end, from 6 to 8, before bedtime, they're like, oh, what are we going to do with these girls? So they put us into gymnastics. Fail. We're tall. So you guys know the double uneven bars? So Neka, my older sister, Neka and I, we would do the uneven bars, and we'd try to put our feet up, and our butt would hit the ground. Boom. Boom, because we were so tall. My mom's coworker finally said, you need to put your girls into basketball. That's for tall girls. I was like, okay. So they put us into basketball, and we were absolutely horrible. Horrendous. Like, my dad used to pay us dollars to get a rebound. That's how bad we were. But eventually, as African parents are, they say, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're reading, writing, designing, do it to the best of your ability.
That's right.
So that's the lesson they were trying to teach us, putting us into something we didn't understand. So obviously being 6'3" helps, and 6'5" in heels doubly helps. But it's that same lesson that I think we all identify with. No matter what you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. That's something we're instilled with by our parents from an early age.
Great. Yeah.
So, is my mic okay? So first of all, I'm very upset with you right now, okay?
You're trying to catch me in heights.
No, it's because I used to play basketball.
Oh! Point guard.
Listen, I was point guard, okay?
Hey.
Yes. Listen to me.
yes.
This is not a joke, In my mind, I thought I was going to be in the WNBA. Because I thought I was really tall, and I really am. Unlike you, who grew at 10.
Supernova tall.
I actually grew yesterday, like for real. But if you look at me really closely, guys, I swear I'm tall. Look, just look really hard. I'm actually 6'2". But listen, so I finally realized I couldn't do ball, right? But the first answer that comes to my mind when you asked, when did I know that it wasn't a hobby? The first answer that came to my heart was when I was born. Because we're not born to be hobbies. We're all born with a purpose. You understand? That's the first thing that came to my heart. But I remember doing hair as a child. I was like 12, a little bit after you grew tall. I was like 12, and I was doing hair, and I was doing braids, and I was charging like more than the salons, and people would come to the house, and they would say, I'm here to see your mother. I said, well, because I was this big, right? And I'll say, well, my mother is here, but you're actually here to see me. They said, no. I said, no, for real. And then they'd say, do one braid. And I'll do a braid. And they're like, oh, damn. Okay, right. I'm here to see you, right? So whatever, I did hair. I didn't want to do McDonald's and whatever people work in when they get 16. I just did hair at home while going to school, And at one point, I realized that it wasn't even about the hair. I actually never liked doing hair. If you guys read my bio, I hate doing hair. I really do. I'll tell you what my passion was. I realized that the hair that I was doing and what I was doing to a woman was changing their lives because it was helping them to be confident about themselves. Absolutely. It was helping them to love themselves. So my love for the business didn't come from the love of doing hair, but it came from the love of being able to make you wake up and love yourself. To make you wake up the next day and walk like you are the shit. You understand me? And that's when I realized that my purpose in life is to build women, and hair was just a platform.
Wow.
Amen. I don't know why I want to say amen.
You want to add to that either?
Yeah. So my story. So I grew up in New York, as I said. And I went to a French school, and then I went to NYU, studied finance. Studied in Italy, fell in love with Italian culture, started working for luxury Italian brands and French brands. And what I really loved about it was the commitment to crafts and heritage and techniques passed down from generation to generation. And but when I would travel to other places, like the country where I'm from, I would see so many people making beautiful craft and beautiful items, and just didn't feel like they were getting a fair shake. People were over-haggling them. Sometimes you negotiate so much that you pay less than the price of the thing but it actually is. It's actually ridiculous, some of the prices people pay. And it just seemed ridiculous because the heritage and the technique is so much longer and so much older, and also so many other brands were taking from there. And I just couldn't figure out what to do. So then when I was working, I would take these like work trips. So maybe like a hobby, I guess. You know, I would take like 2 weeks off when I had a vacation, and I would do volunteer trips, but that wasn't enough. I felt like I needed to do more. And so I couldn't figure it out. And then finally I had this conversation with my now partner, who has a background in social activism, and she invited me on this really powerful trip to the Congo. And we were going for the opening of something called the City of Joy, which is a leadership center for women who had been the victim of rape and sexual violence. It's a place where basically she's on the board of something called V-Day, which belongs to Eve Ensler, and it's dedicated to stopping violence against women and rape. They've raised over $100 million towards that cause, and in the Congo, rape is obviously used as a weapon of war, and the way that women are devastated, and it's completely disgusting, the stories that you hear. So what she does, though, is she says turning your pain to power, doing something more than that. So this place was about more than that. It was about where women were taught skills, retaught skills in an effort to get them back in its community. And when we went there, we went through this like crazy trip together. But when we got there, we met these women that were so strong and so beautiful and so powerful. And they had built the city themselves. They had, went through so much, and they were still smiling, still ready to do it, despite all the problems. And what was even better than that is that they would make things. They would make craft, they would make items, they would take proceeds, send their kids to school, invest in agriculture, feed their kids, send their kids to school. So what we noticed was this incredible circle of sustainability, and it was like this little microeconomy that had popped up. And the reason it was so powerful for us is because that trip was so difficult, but yet so easy, because sometimes things were just meant to be. So I thought that I was like clearly on one path, but sometimes, at least in this case, something happened to me where I realized that there was an opportunity to do more. And that I had been lucky to go through whatever experiences I had, but there were people that look exactly like me, that are my cousins, that didn't get that same opportunity. And sometimes I think you get to this point where you're like, now or never, it's now or never. When I have time, I'm gonna do it. And I just reached this window where I was like, it's now is now. And it's gotta happen right now. And that was that moment. And that's when I got on the plane. And that's when I went back to Ghana.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's quite interesting. I'll just try and cut it a little bit short. So I grew up in England, in London, and where, you can count the black people on television. Yes. It was like, here's the black newsreader, here's the black, children's TV presenter, and whatnot. So I didn't see a representation of myself. I moved to Ghana, from Ghana to London when I was 9 to join my parents. And I knew I wanted to act because there's this film, and I've said this story a few times, but one night, my father wouldn't let us watch TV after 10. So me and my sister used to sneak downstairs, and I used to take a hairpin and put it to the back of the TV, so to get it to work. Very grainy, but that's what I used to do. And I remember there was this film that I watched years ago. It was called The Color Purple. And I remember seeing that film, and I was like, wow, I was that little loud child that, very creative, but I didn't know where I fitted. Right. I remember seeing that film and, crying my eyes out and just seeing all these black people, and I'm like, I want to do this. But not just because of that. I remember when the credits were rolling. My name is Ama Kwenedu Abebrese, if there's any Ghanaians here. And my name, growing up in England was very different. I was the only person with such a name, at least in my primary school. My secondary school, there were more Africans and, Ghanaians that I met. But I remember going through the credits and seeing all these kind of English names, and then I came across the name Akosia Buzia. And I was like, Akosia, that's a Ghanaian name. Literally, I was like, in that moment, I was like, if somebody with a name like mine, which I know is Ghanaian, is in a Hollywood movie with Steven Spielberg directing, I was like, I can do it. So that kind of began my journey on, and I told Akosia years later when I met her, that, okay, this thing, if somebody has done it, I can also do it.
Right.
So kind of setting the path. And it's interesting. So with all the auditions I went to in England and hearing no, I still kept going back.
Right.
I still kept going back. And when I finally got my first, lead role in a film, when, the full circle comes together, and, that was a film called Sinking Sands, which I'd moved to Ghana, crazy. My parents thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy. And within a year, I'd auditioned after hearing no in England all the time, because obviously there was enough blacks at the time.
Right.
If you hear a lot of the American actors, even Idris, our husband, moved to the US because there wasn't that much opportunities for British black actors. And getting a lead role in a film called Sinking Sands, and a year later winning the African Movie Academy Awards for best film, best actress in a lead role, kind of brought it all full circle for me. Absolutely. Because it was like, okay, having people that have weird sounding names, I'm sure all of us on the panel,
Absolutely.
To a certain degree we understand. And just that moment, it changed my life from thinking, oh, okay, it's hard, I'm hearing no, but remembering that somebody with a name which sounded, at least in that Western culture, weird, could do it, I could also do it. Absolutely. And it just kept me going. So just bringing that full circle, that this is not a hobby, this is, with all the no's, we're going to keep going at it.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Thank you, guys. And the next question, I would really like us to be honest, and so I'll share my own experience. Do you ever feel that you've had to sacrifice your own personal talent, or choose between your talent or your vision to appeal to the mass audience or the general public? And for me, I am a political commentator. And just a little bit of background, I am literally one of those people that I will protest for anything. Like, that is just my personality. Like, I am just like, I'm not playing with you. I have 2 sons who are black. You're not going to kill a black man, because when you kill a black man, that's my son 30 years, so I'm not playing. So no, this is not going to happen. So that's just how I am. So when I got my opportunity, one of my first opportunities to appear on national TV was on Fox News. And we all know Fox News. Today alone, I did 3 segments on Fox News. And so a lot of times I would hear feedback to say, you will probably do better or fare better if you weren't so hard left. Instead, if you stayed in the middle, you'll go further. And I was like, well, let me digest that for a second. No. Because it's not about my vision. It's about, at the end of the day, it's what you believe in. It's what's in you. And if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, right? And so just to you guys to pose that question, have you ever felt that, whether being in the WNBA, whether it's with fashion, whether it's with acting, whether it's with hair, you have had to compromise what your core beliefs are for you to be able to monetize, to secure the bag, or to appeal to a general public that will broaden your audience? And again, we're all family here. So I would love to hear your honest opinion on that.
Can I start on this?
Yes.
And this is why, for me, if anybody is here in this room and you're from the Caribbean, you're from Africa, wherever, and you haven't been home, then you need to take a trip. Because we're here, we're in the Western world, but this is not our home. It's our home in a sense that we've grown up here. I'm very British, but I'm Ghanaian. And as I remember growing up in England, knowing that literally, whether I liked it or not, even my name. So it's that thing of, most of us, you have to start anglicizing your names so to fit in. So for me, it was that thing of, when I was in England, it's like, yes, hello, my name is Amike Abebrazy. So that was my name. And as a teenager, you go through, you want to be accepted. So, if your name wasn't, the usual, Anglo-Saxon name or whatever, it was like a real struggle. And I'm sure a lot of you here, if you have those names, you understand. So you have 2 pronunciations for your names. So the ones where, depending what room you're in, yes, hello. Or the one where it's like, yes, I have a friend. when we're growing up, her name was Petra, but in her house she was Ijos Ejawake Wagane, you know, and so that was the thing. So I realized that when I was in the Western one, I had to compromise because after a while you get sick and tired of correcting people your name. Even my name, Amma, AMA, the most simplest names. I worked with a woman who could not pronounce Amma.
Hey.
Amma. Hello, Emma. I'm like, no, it's Amma. Anna. No, it's Amma. Literally. And afterwards, I'm like, just call me Emma. Because after, 2-3 years of working with her, she couldn't get my name. Now, whether it was done on purpose or it wasn't, I kind of let it go. So we lose a bit of ourselves. You give yourselves, and for me, the name was such a big deal because I went to Ghana and then they were laughing at me because of how I pronounced my name. And I was like, ooh, okay. So depending where you are is where you have to compromise or not. And for me, that compromising stopped in the sense of, well, you have to appeal to a certain demographic. When I was doing TV in London, when I did some stuff for BBC Two and stuff, and you have to appear for everybody.
Yes.
And I kind of get it. There's systems in place in every organization. But when I went to Ghana, it was like, wow, okay, you're here. You're one of us. And that difference, it makes a difference, no matter how hard it is. So, yes, I've had those struggles, but going home, it's different struggles, but at least that acceptance of me having to kind of compromise in ways that I wouldn't want to appeal to a certain audience, it doesn't exist for me by going home.
And to piggyback off of yours, I mean, I'm Chine, and I try to make that easy. My real name is Chine, yeah, Joy Nena Ogumike.
Yes.
And I try to make it easier, like, y'all can call me Chine. They still go, Chinese, Shanae. I'm like, no, not the episode of Martin, no, please. But yeah, so everyone sees our name. It's on the back, for me particularly in the WNBA, it's on my jersey, and they say Ogumike, and it's great because everywhere I go, if you know one Nigerian person, and this is for people outside the room, you can tend to spot them all by their name. Yeah. So my name on the back of the jersey, and my sister's name on the back of our jerseys, it tends to shout us out in a unique way. But if you guys think about the WNBA, or even if you open your phones and you put up Twitter, if the NBA says something about our league, what do you see? You see trolls, kitchen, you don't belong. As women's basketball players, people tend to hate on our game for no reason. They don't understand it. We play below the rim, but boy, I'm telling you, these women are hard. They're fierce. But if you think about WNBA players, I don't think most people would think this is what you see. You probably see someone, slouching or, not into their feminine. I'm like, skirt. No. Yesterday, I was in Los Angeles walking the red carpet with my sister for the ESPY. She was up for Best Female Athlete. And it was amazing. And let me tell you, we rolled deep, Niger style. My dad, my mom, my uncle, my little sister, my cousin was coming. And they're like, excuse me, Russell Westbrook's coming and he only gets 1+1. They're not going to tell my parents not to come down the red carpet. Right. So we came in a full, Coming to America style, full posse. Mom was in gala, everything. So we're trying to show everybody who we are. And, we take pride from our name, Ogumike. It means he who does not tire. And just that is my embodiment. You talk about going home. When I was at Stanford, I graduated Stanford University. And my sister, I also played with her there at Stanford. And I had a choice. So usually with athletes, they say, your coaches, you sort of are a slave to your school. Athletes, if you follow the NCAA, they tend to exploit us. But at the same time, in return, they change your life. You get a diploma. I have a scholarship. All my sisters, my parents have not paid a dime for education. So I'm like, where's my money now? Can you buy me a car? Where's that money for the education? No, but they haven't paid a dime for education. It's because they instilled that Nigerian value that comes, he who does not tire. Yes. Work hard in school, work hard on the court. But yeah, it's all about perception for me in the WNBA. And hey! Yeah, Chuku goes in though.
I know Kweba.
Hey, my Igbo isn't that great, so let's keep it simple, please. But so being in the WNBA has been great. It's transformed my lives. But being in sport, there's one thing that comes up as well besides perception, especially as a female athlete. It's injuries. And after my rookie year, I had right knee microfracture surgery. Last year, I tore my Achilles. I was playing in China. And it happens. I've been touched by God. When I hurt my Achilles, I was in China. Man, after my right knee, I called my mom. African parents. I got the doctor on speed dial. You all ready? Once you land, I literally landed. I flew direct. It was crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was crazy. So I hurt my leg. I came through a Chinese airport in a wheelchair. I took like a whole bunch of baby aspirin, no blood clot. I was on the plane, had my foot elevated. My mom was there right when I got off the plane. She took me straight to the doctor's office. Within 3 days of having an injury in China, I was healed. That's African determination. He who does not tire, right?
That's right.
But being a part of the WNBA is amazing. It transforms your life. I've been injured. My sister's had these amazing careers. Last year she was a WNBA MVP. We're all praising her. We're excited. We all claim it together. They're like, oh, when are you gonna get it? I'm like, I already have one. That's my sister. I claim hers. But part of my injuries, I always tell people, when one thing happens in your life, for me as an athlete, it was sports and injuries. For a fashion designer, maybe someone didn't pick up your clothing. For an actress, maybe you heard a no. No matter what happens in your life, you can't really approach that crossroad and give up. You have to keep going. So for me, while I was injured, I live in Connecticut. My team is the Connecticut Sun. And so in Connecticut also is the headquarters of the sports world, ESPN. And it was just perfect. I had been working since I was at Stanford in the media. I worked for the Pac-12 networks, NBA TV, and this opportunity developed right after my injury. I have a friend that worked at ESPN, and if I didn't build those inroads, those steps, never giving up, saying yes, keep betting on myself, my opportunity with ESPN would have never happened. Right after my Achilles injury happened, a month later I was walking, I get a call from my boss at ESPN saying, Chine, we're developing Sports Center for Africa for millions of people to stream. You are the girl with the African last name, Ogumike, he who does not tire. We want to hire you to broadcast Sports Center.
Amen.
So it's one of those things where, God puts you in the right place at the right time, and it's amazing. So even though injuries happen, things, bumps in the road, you hear no's, you're faced with adversity, you just got to keep pushing and keep pushing.
And I think you open up the door to where I want us to go, which is professional journey. And so how did you all break into your industry? I know a lot of people out there may be interested in some of the work that you're doing. They want to be the next insert name here. How did you break into your industry? Because right now we live in the social media world, and a lot of times we see on social media this image of people's lives, and we're like, well, I want that too, type of thing, right? And that's just natural human instinct sometimes. But there's a journey to everything. Things don't happen every night. And I always tell people, for me, Nigerian connection here, there's prayer behind everything. You don't know how much I pray, and you don't know how much my mom prayed, because she be in there again, the holy water, and spraying all through the house and just praying. But do you understand? Like, there's a journey that comes with it. So I would love to get your feedback of how did you break into your industry, and what would you say is that path, so to speak, if you were to create a nice little kit for your 21-year-old self and say, This is how you would get there. What would you say? What is in that kit?
I would actually go back to your last question and say, don't compromise. Ever in life. Don't ever compromise. I always tell people that everything new is crazy until it's not. When I first started doing hair, it was all about natural for me, and that was like 17 years ago, I was like, I was like 13, okay? 12 or 13 when I started doing hair. And my whole thing was natural hair, way before it was cool. And if I was 13, that means that was 10 years ago, because I'm 21. Does that make sense? Oh, shit. Did I mess up? I'm 22, 23? Damn. All right. As I was saying. But everybody thought it was crazy. Everybody said, Mashia, only you can do that, right? But I said, no, everybody can. You guys can, Let me show you how you can do it. And it was those times when everybody was permed. And now you guys look around the room. Look around the room. For real. That's like, look around the room. Almost all the girls here are natural. You understand? Yes, give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourself. Everybody told me I was crazy. I work at the bank, Mashia. I can't do that. You're crazy, Mashia. I'm an attorney. I can't do that. But I told them, yes, you can. As long as you do it, somebody else will let you. The only thing that held or are holding black women down from accepting who they are black women themselves. You understand me? White people, they don't care. They don't care. The first person to come to your office when you wear your hair wild is Shaniqua. Have they seen your hair? You know what I'm saying? And when Bob goes by your office, he's like, oh my God, that's a nice hairdo there, Emily. You follow what I'm saying? So, is Bob here? Bob, are you here? Bob, are you here? Where's Bob? You know what I'm saying? So my point is, to really, like, if you have a passion in life and you have something that you want to do, just follow it. You don't have to worry about what other people tell you. People will always tell you you can't do that. They tell you you can't do it because it doesn't exist yet. But that's how legends are built. You get what I'm saying? They do that shit, excuse me.
Yes.
They do that stuff that doesn't exist. You get what I'm saying? So you can't be afraid. You can't, the world is full of followers.
Yes.
Full of followers.
That's
you
true.
have to decide, am I a leader or am I a follower?
Yeah.
And the moment you decide you're a leader, I'm going to do this regardless what everybody else says, guess what? You have a whole room of people following you.
That's right. Y'all,
I'm just telling you. I'm just trying to tell you.
that is a word. Would anyone like to follow up with that? Anyone? Okay, so. All right, so because we're short on time, I also think another thing that we're interested in, along with the journey piece, is also how do we balance it all? Right? And all doesn't just have to be with family. It also has to do with friends. It has to do with just how do you balance it all? Because in order to be the best in whatever you're doing, you know, as you rightfully said, African parents always have that thing, no matter what you do, be the best at it. So even if you're the best at anything, you are working hard, you're working tirelessly to be the best in your field. But that also means that sometimes you skip over other things that you should be doing. So how do you balance it all? Or do you think you are balancing it all?
I guess I'll go.
Yeah?
And I was sitting here thinking, how did I end up on this panel? I'm sort of like give you my notes.
Girl, you and me both.
Can you do it for me?
You're so cute.
I'm going to add the two together, the last question and this question.
Awesome.
So one, I don't actually think I perfectly balance anything. But I recognize that I'm on the journey to that. And that is what I've given myself. You know, I had reached a point, like, first of all, you asked, how did I get to where
Absolutely.
I was?
Right.
And mine was I just worked. You know, like, I knew what I wanted to do. I followed the steps. The way you said it, I just worked hard. But I also tried to work smart and clever and map out my journey. And but I did reach a point where I realized, what was I working for? I lost the plot. I was working too hard, too many hours for somebody else with no mission and no point. And that's when I think the biggest change is when I missed my grandmother's funeral in Ghana. My grandmother was obviously the matriarch of the family. Everybody revolved around her. You know, we're in Zima from the Western region, and I hadn't been in a long time, and everybody went to this funeral, and I thought I was too busy. I didn't understand. I couldn't connect. I couldn't afford it, and I was like, I just can't go. Then about a year later, my father had a stroke. This was like 2006. And I realized, like that, your life can change.
Absolutely.
You think you know the answers, you just don't know them. You know, and so that's when I just kind of was like, that's it. I got to find balance. I can't live my life this way. And so that's the journey that I've been on. So that's why for me it's been really beautiful to figure out how to balance creativity, my professional career, but also giving back to others and working in collaboration with others in social impact work in order to basically kind of work there. And then also, you know, health and fitness and all those other things like my family. That's really important. I think that especially living in New York, and also Ghana is like that too. I think it's fast. You know, Nigeria is very fast.
Yeah. Too fast.
Too fast. I think you get caught in a rat race really quickly. And so for me, I'm really on the journey to finding my balance. But I feel like I'm like 85% there.
Right.
So that's my story.
Awesome.
Okay, well, I'm going to give a different perspective on the question that you asked before.
Okay.
So we were talking about, do we have to compromise at all or things like that? And when I first came to New York, my first job, like 3 weeks here, I had like $400 and a big dream. My family thought I was crazy for moving to New York, but I was like, I'm going to do this thing because I feel like I have this talent that that is very, very strong, and I believe in it, so I'm going to do it. So I came here by myself. I got a job the third week as an assistant merchandiser, which was not an assistant designer job, which was what I wanted, but I stayed there for a while and eventually became an assistant designer, and I worked in a lot of different companies before eventually becoming a VP of design and then being able to start my own company. But when we talk about compromise or having to compromise yourself because of who you are, or feeling like you have to be more mainstream, even though I choose to use models from all different types of backgrounds and everything, has nothing to do, my choice has nothing to do with being black or not black. It's just a business decision, to be honest. It has nothing to do, it's not, I don't think about it that deep, and I think that if you want to, you can, if that's what is important to you. But at the end of the day, I just want to bring a different perspective, because I look at it like I want to have a global business, and I don't want a business that's driven by me constantly thinking about race. I think that's something I can do in my personal life, but I don't really think that that's something I need to do in my business.
Right.
And so for me, the decisions that are made are always what's best for the business, because that's what this is. And I'm not tying it into my personal. There's no social, there's no real social, like, you know, thing I'm trying to get across as far as race when it comes to the clothes. I'm making beautiful clothes, and whether people feel different ways, it's like you can have your company for different reasons, but it doesn't have to be something that you have to focus and bring the race into it if you don't want to, you know. And so sometimes, yes, you can walk into a room and the kind of clothing that I do and maybe be the only black person there, but I think if you can try to approach situations just as you are and try really hard not to think about the outside noise, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be racist things all the time. There's always going to be those things, you know, in life. I think no matter how great we become and whatever the future holds, if it's all white people, it'll be, well, you have brown hair, or you have blue eyes, or we're always going to have differences with each other. So it's important, and I'm not saying anything like, you know, it's not, but I'm just saying that when you run a business, it doesn't have to play a factor in it all the way if you don't want it to, and that's it.
And I think we all have different points of view about business, and I think the same thing that comes out from all of us is our focus. And I'm 25 years old, and I feel like I've lived 20 lifetimes because all I do is run and jump and get hit by my sister sometimes on her team. But when it comes to business, I think we all feel like we want instant success. And we're not patient. You don't have to be patient, especially now. I mean, most of us are creatives. We're all creatives. And the world doesn't just belong to the typical ladders. You know, your parents will say, you got to be doctor, lawyer. You have to follow this, follow that. No, you can hopscotch. Or what is it, hopscotch? Yeah, jump side to side. The world belongs to creatives as well. You know, you see the tech startups that are kids in dorms that are doing amazing things. You see musicians that start off as age 2. But to me, I think we sometimes tend to get lost in our aspirations, and we get so tunnel vision, one-tracked mind, that you lose balance.
Right.
And for me, being 25, I felt like to be at the top of my game, I couldn't hang out with my friends as much as I wanted to. When I was at Stanford, I mean, I was just literally going to school, going to eat, going to practice, and going to bed. And when I look back, I remember I went back to my campus for the first time, and I was like, holy smokes, Stanford is gorgeous. Like, it's beautiful. Because I didn't stop and smell the roses ever. So that's why I always urge to people, while you're working hard, make sure you work smart, work clever, but also don't miss the moments, because you're only young once. Right. And what I really find, and it's so funny, when I think about balance, when you said the question, I was like, I just thought of my mom, because I'm 25, and you know what parents say when you're 25? Children. Husband, children. I mean, my mom doesn't even talk like that, but I just felt like it's right. So I remember when I was in college, I know she'd be here like, oh my gosh, I'm more, you know, London, American accent, whatever. When I was maybe in college, my mom would just start saying, okay, you know, I want you to date an Igbo boy, you know, stuff like that. You know, 22 comes around, she's like, he can just be Nigerian, okay? 23 comes around, I'll take West Africa. 24, she's like, I'll just take any African. 25, African American, whoever loves the culture, I will just claim him as my own. So I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I've been just so focused. Like, I have all these other goals I want to achieve as a woman as well. Right. And I felt like I could have made headway with that in college, you know, if I just stopped and smelled the roses, which is why I told my little sisters, they wanted to go to Stanford, and Stanford's a great school, but my sister and I were like, go somewhere where you guys can also get the college experience. You can meet people, you can mingle, you can work hard. They're now at Rice, and they're studying, they want to become doctors, you know, making the parents proud. And they're great basketball players. They could play professionally, but they're living vicariously through us. Right. And we told them, like, you know what, you guys, we've seen the mountaintop of basketball. We love it. We want that for you. The money's great. The branding, the platform is great. But where do you want to be in your life at 25? Because at 25, I'm searching. I'm still searching. So we all are on our different paths, but make sure you keep it all in balance. You can also work as hard as you can in your business, in your brand, and also in your family life, in your community. Everything can work out. You got to stop and smell the roses a little bit.
Beautiful. So there's that saying, to whom much is given. Wait a second, we're having church, so let's start again. To whom much is given. Okay, we get the point. So what jewels, what gems, and this is a final thought question, would you guys say that you are leaving behind for the next generation of Pan-African women to be influencers, to be successful in your respective industries?
The beautiful thing is, I feel like with all of us in this room, some people have paved the way, and some of us are going to pave the way. I mentioned the story about like Akosua Buzia seeing her name on The Color Purple, and now she's like, you know, one of my sisters, you know, and just seeing that, wow, okay, this person did it, I'm doing it, and other people looking up to me. I think it's important because everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. We're all the same, but we're all very different. Absolutely. I think it's about being authentic. Regardless of where you are, even for me, I think my own personal journey was just things like my name, you know, having to, depending which crowd I'm in, having to, there's times I felt like I had to compromise. But I think the most beautiful thing is when you say your name or whatever it is in your own glory, and everyone's like, oh wow, that I can also do that. It's important because now too, I feel like there's so many voices screaming out at you. I don't remember growing up seeing so much influences, because especially now in the social media age, it's like, oh my goodness, I can spend 3 hours on social media being tossed to and fro. And a lot of times it's just about being authentic to myself, and by doing so, I feel like hopefully other people who are watching and seeing me can say, okay, well, I can do that. And also not being pigeonholed. I just don't do, I'm not just an actor, I'm also a TV host, I'm also a producer, I'm also, I develop content, and there's so much more. I feel like in this day and age, when you see so many people doing so many things and being so brilliant, you can also do it, regardless of whatever is thrown at you. And in that kind of still small moment for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me it's the God factor. I don't know about anybody else. It's the God factor, and I feel like, you know, a lot of Africans, we understand. But the God factor for me is so real that everything that I even do, I'm like, okay, God, is this the right step for me? Now, some people will say it's not the most practical thing, but for me, it is. It's what's got me to this point. Does that make sense? And I feel like when you're true to yourself, when you're living your own truth, those following you can have the confidence, or those who you're inspiring can have the confidence. And it's interesting, things always come full circle. I've had so many full circle, you know, we don't have enough time to talk about it. But the key is to just be honest, be true to yourself in every moment, and the God factor, you know, always helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow up. What gems are you leaving for the generations after you?
Mushia?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to answer that question.
Oh, God. Mushia, come on.
By responding a little bit to what you said, okay? I respect your thought process, yes? Hey, I said I respect your thought process. Okay. So I respect your thought process, right? But I have a different thought process. which makes the world go round. So I'm a different person. I actually put black in my business. I put African in my business because that's what I am, that's what I love, and that's what I want to sell to people. You understand? I think that it's okay for us to put black in our business because for a long time, the businesses only put white. They didn't consider you. You get what I'm saying? So we cannot be ashamed as African and as black to make our business reflect our culture. You understand what I'm saying? So I think about that every single step I do. My doll in my country, what she's wearing, we call it kikwembe. In you, West African, I think you call it inkara, yes? Yeah. That's what I'm wearing. That's what she's wearing. Yeah. So to me, that's important. And that doesn't mean that I'm only marketing to black people, though. Okay? Like I said, I build black, I build African, but I sell to everyone. You hear me? Because when we buy straight hair, we're not buying us, right? So when we make Afro hair, that doesn't mean that I'm only selling to you and Shaquanda, right? I have sold to white people Afro hair. You get what I'm saying? No, give that up. You follow what? Yeah, give it up. You get what I'm saying? So, my whole point, my shirt. So my whole point in saying that is that we cannot compromise. We have to love ourselves. For example, herself, she did that. Because you guys watch those movies, a lot of the most important and famous actors in Nollywood and blah, 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 they had skin bleaching. They had to do it to become successful. That's not true? And look at her.
I don't think they had to do it. I feel like there's a choice. The skin bleaching thing is a whole different topic.
You're right. Yeah. They felt they had to do it.
Because of the images we see on TV.
Yes. So they felt. Let me correct myself. Sorry. You understand what I'm saying? But like, look, she did it. And she's dark skinned. I did it, and I'm black skinned with my kinky hair. So my point is that you guys don't compromise who you are. Don't try to fit in. You understand? You'll just blend into the wall. Just be who you are and do what you want to do. And I apologize for speaking too long, but I'm going to say one more thing. All right. So, the few jewels I'm going to leave is this, okay? I always tell people that you guys, some of you might be working in corporate America, blah, blah, blah. You have these dreams of building a business and dreams of, owning such and such real estate office and blah, 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 and real estate homes and blah, blah, blah. I tell people, you guys stop dreaming and start goaling. There's a difference. Goaling is when you execute. The only difference between myself and all these successful people and people who are not successful is just execution. It's goals. So start goaling. Don't be afraid of anything. You hear me?
That's true.
All right, I'm done.
That's true. No, that was good. No, that was good.
I finish.
You know they carry last, though. Go ahead.
I want to follow this one, mostly because I want to tie those two comments together. So I might even go completely off topic, but I'm going to try not to. So basically, my background, I think it's important to answer this question. Like I said, my mom was born in 1940 Mississippi. To me, that's really important. And her sister, my mom, black people had basically moved up north, so they moved to Pittsburgh when they were looking for work in steel factories and as maids. And her sister also moved up, and then they both went to New York, and she tried to become a model. This was in the 60s. And they rejected her. They said she was too tall, too dark, too black, and she looked too African, and she couldn't sell anything, and it was impossible. So she got a photographer to take a photo of her in 1967 that landed on the cover of Sunday Times Style. And in 1969, she became basically the first black supermodel, leading the way to the Black is Beautiful movement. The lesson that I learned from that, and I think one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now, is that I realized that big actions sometimes are small actions. So like, it's the little things that matter. So like when you were asking about the isms, the corporate America, do you ever have to compromise and stuff like that? I just had to reach this point when I was living in Italy and, and you have every ism, you have racism, sexism, whatever. Like you got all the isms. Name one, you got them. And you're in this position where you could make change just by doing, which is why I thought what you were trying to say also is really interesting, and what everybody is saying, which is sometimes it's just these little actions. It's not always the big action, but sometimes it's that intern that gets a stack of resumes and sees a name they can pronounce, and somebody living in the Bronx, no offense to the Bronx, and puts it in another pile, which happens with a name they can't pronounce. They go, oh, it goes in this pile. And because we'll figure that one later. I don't understand that name. I don't understand that background. This one's going to go in this pile. And so there's this assumption sometimes that somebody at the top wouldn't hire that person, but it maybe you never made it to the top. Because all these people who had jobs that they thought were insignificant stopped it throughout the entire process. So for me, I think a lot of it is just, that's why I think it's really beautiful to be here with all of the people here in this panel, is that it's kind of just by being you and doing it your way. So if it's not bringing race into the business, but focusing on business, and that's something you see in your personal life, which I completely understand. If it's making it all about it, I completely understand that too. But and so for me, it's been really rewarding to do the work that I'm doing right now, because I thought this was something that I needed to do until I started getting feedback from other people. I get a lot of feedback, emails from people that I would never ever think would care about anything like this, from all over the world. MBA students from China that want to come to Ghana, that want to volunteer, that want to give back, that want to be involved in the process, that are inspired, that want to see the world become different, that want to achieve balance. So for me, I'm super hopeful of the future. I think it's a series of really simple things, really simple actions, of people coming together that's going to make the big difference.
Absolutely. So, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Okay, so I'm Jules. Okay, well, I don't really have a response, because I think that everybody looks at things differently, and if you know my work, it's inspired by, Africa. But it's, I'm just saying, I don't think we were saying two different things. I'm just saying, anyways, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but what I am going to talk about is, Jules, like for me, I don't think that you can help other people unless you really help yourself first. And I think a lot of times, like, we like to talk about things. There's like so many deeper. You can't talk about it all on a panel, or about the nuances or the things that go on with life. But when you work and you're coming up and you're trying to decide what it is that you want to do, I think there has to be a certain amount of focus on the skill and what it takes to get to that point. And I think that, everybody talks about you have to really, really believe in yourself. And it sounds easy, but it's not very easy to really believe in yourself all the way. It's actually, I think, the hardest thing to do ever. I think it's the thing that I'm constantly working on myself. And I feel like until you better yourself, there's not really much you can say to other people. And so when you're working and you're an entrepreneur and you're a businesswoman, you're constantly growing. I'm not the same person that I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I've changed and I want to change. And I want the next time you see me to be in a whole different space, because I look at it as growth over time. Growth over who you're meeting with, who you're connecting with. Don't underestimate relationships in life. Those will get you very, very far. It won't get you. You still have to have your skills to maintain where you are, but the people that you meet, the people that you do business with, grows into other businesses, grows into things that you might not have expected. And it's not about, you don't have to bow down to anyone, and I don't think you have to bow. And I'm a very different person, because I've always been in fashion. I majored in architecture, I went into fashion, so I've never felt like I couldn't wear my hair the way that I wanted to wear it, or I couldn't do the things so I don't have that experience, and I have to be honest, I don't. I have the experience of, I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to wear my tennis shoes when I go to an evening party. I'm going to, wear my mohawk. I'm going to shave the sides of my... I've always been like that. So I've never thought about what somebody else thought, So that's my experience. And so what comes with me is going to be a very different kind of story, because it was already there, And so I just think that, meet people, be open, share yourself, and really realize that you have to grow on your own self. You're the only person that can keep anything away from you. Nobody else. Nobody.
Thank you.
Gotcha. No, I'm 100% on the same. And you inspire me. I was like, what am I gonna say for a jewel? And you said people. I was like, oh, that's it. And I think, what's the African saying that everyone knows? It takes a village. We stand on the shoulders of those who come before us, right? Those are the things that we've known since we're young and are always in the back of our minds. And I think about, sometimes you hear something and it just sticks with you. When I was playing basketball, I was around 12. I had a trainer that came out. He's a special trainer, and he gathered us together, and he said, if you have a purpose and a passion, you're unstoppable.
Right.
And that always, that struck a chord in my heart. My passion is basketball. I mean, I don't know if that's my purpose, right? I started thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, is basketball a purpose, or am I here, do I serve, my God to do more? And so I was like, okay, passion is great. Putting a ball in a basket is cool. But what's my purpose? And it all comes down to who you meet, who you surround yourself with.
Right.
And so when I got drafted to the Connecticut Sun and the WNBA, I remember the first thing I did was do what they call it a car wash at ESPN, where they bring the new athletes around. You go on all the shows, and I met a woman. Her name was Lisa Stokes. And she has transformed my life professionally, my purpose. Well, actually, there's two people. I'll bring them both up. But she was someone that was amazing. She was a huge basketball fan, and she's like, Janae, you're going to be in Connecticut. If you ever need anything, I'm family here for you. She loves basketball, so I was like, I took her phone number. That same woman is the woman that plugged me in. The first opportunity I got off the court, more of my purpose off the court, who I identify myself as being, because being a basketball player, just putting a ball in basket sometimes is not enough. The first opportunity, she's like, Janae, you know what, you're in Connecticut. One of our anchors is sick. It's the show ESPN First Take. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
One of our anchors is sick. Can you come in and do the show? I was 22 years old. I didn't watch football. I didn't watch any other sports. I only knew basketball. I was like, you know what, if she needs me, I'm going to help her. So I went and I did the show. I thought I was going to sink. I floated. I swam. Next day, Chene, the anchor's just, I guess, took a vacation because you did well yesterday. Can you do his and hers? It was another show. It's like, sure, did that show. She kept plugging me in over the years. So I was like, okay, I found this purpose, right, outside of my
Absolutely.
sport. When I was at Stanford, I met my academic advisor. I graduated with an international relations degree. I went on my official visit. So that's Lisa Stokes. That's ESPN. I went to my official visit, and the first person I met there was Dr. Condoleezza Rice. Of course, I was like, oh my God, this is Condoleezza Rice. And it was an amazing experience. She was like, oh, I'm a huge fan of sports. Will you take a meeting with me? I was like, what, take a meeting with me? Can I meet with you? Like, this is reverse. So I remember we won a big game. We beat UConn, which is like the best team in the world, whatever. We beat UConn. She came into the locker room. She was turning it up. Condoleezza Rice is actually really awesome, y'all. You see the buttoned up political commentator, Condoleezza Rice? She's amazing. She's a huge fan of sports. So she said, Sinead, come meet me. I met with her. And she said, Sinead, you don't have to sacrifice your academics for athletics or athletics for academics. You can get everything. So that was in the back of my mind. So I realized then that not only is my purpose just to play basketball, but it's to create this new lane. And as I had that in the back of my mind while I was approaching ESPN, that was the thing that set the precedent in my life. Next thing you know, I'm saying yes. We're women of yes. You have an opportunity, yes. We're hustlers. I'm saying yes. I walk into ESPN. There's no one that looks like this. I'm the only one. We have 1,500 employees at ESPN. There's no one dark-skinned like me. There's no one tall like me. There's no one female like me. And there's no one that gives an opinion like me. That makes you feel out of place, right? No, you're meant to be there, like you said. You have a place. You have to be confident in your workplace. And next thing you know, the right opportunities fall into line. Sports Center, for Africans, who can we use? Bam, it's right there.
Absolutely.
And it started when I was in college, when Dr. Condoleezza Rice said, you don't have to sacrifice anything. You don't have to be just a good athlete on the court. You can be a great person off the court. You don't have to just play basketball. On your off days, you can come to ESPN and help people out. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us.
Absolutely.
And those people that did help us, you can't forget them. That's our heritage. That's what we do. I mean, we know that we are all part of one family collectively. We're women. Let's be real. We live in this social political climate where women's voices can be marginalized. But are they? No. More people are now walking the streets protesting because our voices are ready to be heard.
Absolutely.
And if we don't take these processes from the beginning, day one, saying yes, betting on ourselves, that's the most important thing. Bet on yourselves and your authenticity. Then your life won't be transformed.
Absolutely.
So just stick with your true path. Stay who you are. If you have a purpose and a passion, you link them together, totally unstoppable.
Amen.
Thank you, ladies, so much. And we are going to open the floor for Q&A. Before we do that, I just want to add, I think for me, the biggest gem is that of opportunity. I don't think that women of color are inferior in any way. I think the reason why you do not see us occupying those spaces that are traditionally occupied by white people is simply because we do not have the opportunity. We do not lack talent. We do not lack anything. We just do not have the opportunity. So my charge to all of you is whenever you get the opportunity, you not only bust down that door, but you bring everybody you can behind you. That is your job. Do you understand me? Like, that's really important, because oftentimes we think we can only occupy that space. There's room for more than one of us. It's okay. Somebody else standing beside you does not in any way dim your light. Because if they dim your light, then quite frankly, you didn't have a light. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So we need to understand that. And so I really want everybody here, and don't think you have to be sitting up here to bust down the door to bring others. Wherever you are, whether you're a student, whether you're a mentor, whether you are working a 9-to-5, when you have the opportunity and the position of power to bring somebody else that looks like you, you better bring somebody else in that looks like you. And I'm done. Okay. Q&A.
Hi, everybody. Anybody has any questions for any one of the panels? All right, we'll start with you.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rafiu. I'm a photographer. I just want to pick from where you start, because that's my bone of contention. The major challenge for us in the U.S. as diaspora is not because we don't have talent.
That's right.
Raw, the way it is.
Yes.
You have a lot of challenges. It's not because you are not successful from your choosing career, but I'm sure if you look back, there's a whole lot for you to do. There's a saying, Nigeria, I don't want to do with them. They will bring me down. Ghanaians, I don't want to deal with them. Oh, no. Please. That is exactly what is bringing us back. That is where our problems start. We have to find those ones that are good and identify with them. There is a saying, we are all Africans. I'm a Yoruba man. They said, if you close your eyes for bad people to pass by, when the good one will pass by, you don't even know.
No, that's right.
It becomes our responsibility to begin to identify the good ones among us. They can tag us any name that we want, but we are ambassadors. Ambassadors with good names. Those ones with bad ambassador, we know them. So all of us that we have decided among ourselves right here that we want to be good ambassador, let's pick ourselves and lift ourselves up.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, anybody that actually has a question for one of the panelists?
Yes.
Monica, where's your question?
Michelle.
Hello, I'm Farida Kadiri. I'm visiting. I'm from France. I'm originally from Benin. So I was here to attend a conference in Washington, D.C. And first, thank you. You are an amazing woman. It's truly inspiring for me, traveling from Paris to see women like you. And, it's about changing our story, changing about the narrative. And when I was hearing your story, it seemed that you knew since the beginning what was your purpose, even though it was not clear. But maybe in this room there are the women who don't know, because for me it happened at 30 years. And so how have you been mentored? Because that's the question. When you don't know, when you have challenges, how you receive mentor, who were your mentor to help you become the amazing woman you are today?
Can I answer this one? Sometimes I never had a mentor, like one person. I didn't have that.
I didn't either.
All I knew was I I had this drive in my heart. I had this passion. And honestly, probably, maybe my mentor was God, because most of the time, that was the only person I could talk to. My parents kind of like, okay, do your thing. They didn't quite understand it, until, you make it, and then that's my daughter. You know how it is. That's my daughter. I knew all along, but my mom doesn't talk like that either. I wanted to do the voice. No, it's that thing of a lot of times, but what I think is, I do feel like we all have our passions and we all have our purpose, but a lot of times I think what happens is we start second guessing ourselves. I was talking about this the other day. I remember that age between 18 till about 21, 22, where, I didn't show you my whole story, but I got into this industry at a very young age, I think about 17. September will be 20 years in the media and TV industry. And it was one of those ones where I was like, I knew I wanted to do it. I got into at a very young age with an organization in Ladbroke Grove, West London, called YCTV. And, at the age of 17, I'm interviewing Harrison Ford. George Lucas is coming, I'm interviewing George Lucas. So I was like, I've arrived, that's it, I'm about to go. And then guess what? It was like, okay, once I got past that step, it was like, no, I can count the amount of black people on TV in England, even today on mainstream TV. Wow. So it was like, well, this one is already doing this, I can't go there. This one's already doing this, I can't go there. So I got to that point of I started second guessing myself. So it wasn't like I didn't have the passion or the dreams, but it was like, oh my God, I don't have a space to occupy. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. You do have your passion, you do have your drive, but when you feel like you haven't got a place to fit, and I really didn't, and I didn't have nobody that says, here you go, I'm going to hold your hand and take you. Nobody took me along. So it was like, okay, well, here we go. So I'm going to knock on this door. Okay, no, I'm going to audition for this. I'm going to do TV. I'm going to, I was doing work experience in different media organizations. I was doing, runner, as we call it, when you're the runner. I did everything because it got to that point when I realized that, there would be times when I remember for months, I would just stay in my house and just cry because I was like, oh, my friends are doing this, they're doing this, and I felt left behind. But it was just because I hadn't, it was just too much no's. I'm sure a lot of people have been through. It was just too much no's. So nobody brought me along. But that dream never died. That passion never died. That purpose never died. And I think at any one of those points, if I would have just said, all right, cool, let me just get a corporate job or whatever, my life would have been totally different. But even when I was working, when I went to university and I was doing 3 jobs on top of being in university, including a TV show for a BME channel, Black Minority Ethnic channel in the UK called OBE TV, which was so new at the time in England. It was an African-owned TV station on Sky. Sky is like your, cable TV. It's like, then I was like, oh, okay, wow, we have this audience here. We have that audience here. So a lot of times you're not going to get mentors. You're not. Not everybody's going to. I've met people who I've admired, and once I admire them, it's like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. They can advise me. But if you don't have mentors, don't let that stop you. Yeah. Pick yourself up.
Right.
And do it.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Can I just piggyback? Because I think you raise a good point. We're all creatives, and there's not necessarily someone that was doing exactly what we wanted to do. And I think you need to right now look to your left. Well, I don't know, that's my left, right? And look to your right now. Like, turn your heads, people, please. These are your mentors. Because I think if you think about our African collective culture, let me tell you, we're competitive. And the problem is we're competitive with each other. Ask about jollof. Who has the best jollof? Nigeria! We Ghana! We Ghana! Don't even go to this one. No, my point being is that we will end there. No. My point being is that we are so competitive with each other, not only countries, not only individuals. Oh, she's a doctor. Oh, well, my daughter's a doctor. We all have to band together. We have to be each other's mentors. As a community, as a continent, no matter what, it's not what country or what family or what household. It's how we all get there together. Amen. Because we have to build our own space, like you were saying, etc.
Thank you, ladies. You are amazing. Can we get a round of applause? They are phenomenal. Yes. Well, thank you so much. We hope you guys leave inspired. They will be here for, I believe, the rest of the weekend, right? Okay, so this is Connections. Reach out, touch them, and I look forward to seeing all your faces afterwards. Group picture. Thank you.
Thank you. Earlier, we have some young women here with us who were featured in our list of 12 young influential Pan-African women to watch. And we want them to come up very briefly and just introduce themselves and say, a few words about what they do. So please, if everyone, please, can you take a seat, please? Our time is fast spent and we want to get through this as quickly as possible. So please, everyone, just have a seat, and if you can just keep it down, truly appreciate it. Okay, so Ellen, Osei, Estelle, Yodit, and Nekpem. If you guys are here, can you come up briefly? Woo! Yes. Please give them a round of applause. These are amazing young women, and I'm just going to pass it on to them so they can briefly, ladies, please, if you can keep it brief for us, they can briefly tell us a little bit about them. And they'll be here for the networking portion, after the business and tech panel, so you can definitely learn more about them then, okay? So we have Estelle here. Estelle?
Thank you. So my name is Estelle Koné, and I work for Goldman Sachs as a quantitative modeler. One of the theme of the evening is changing our stories, and I think a big part of it is to start with education. When I was in Burkina and I wanted to choose my major for high school, they literally told me that there was this major that was combining, like mathematics and technology, and that it was so hard that girl could not succeed. That's what was literally told. But of course, you heard like amazing stories from the panelists. One thing is not to let people tell you can't do something because you are a girl, because you are too short, because you are too this or too that. And today I have a PhD in engineering. So thank you. So I think a big part of it, one of the question was, how do we give back? And that's through outreach activities, because I think it's about getting the message out there that mathematics is not complicated. Writing a piece of code is not hard if you do spend the time, work hard, and get people to help you. You will get there. So I think one important thing is to do outreach activities, and I'm very involved both with my company and also outside my company, trying to motivate girls to go into STEM education and in technology, because we all know that that's where the future is. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nekpem Oswan. I lead the wealth management analytics platforms for Morgan Stanley Smith Barney. I am the co-founder of Women Work. We are a women's empowerment nonprofit based in New York City. We've had Sandra and Isaac as past speakers. Our goal at Women Work is to provide women an opportunity to really connect, to explore what your passion is, and also to build the community and the village it takes to be successful. This country was not founded by one white person. This country was not founded by one mind. It was a collective. We really believe that global-minded women who can work together in concert, not in competition, will change this country and the world. We have an upcoming event, which is an amazing opportunity for you to find out what your passion is and your purpose. We're having a 1-hour executive coaching session for just $15 on July 20th in the Lower East Side. If you are interested, please visit our social media platform. We're on everything at Women Work with an E, and tickets are on sale at www.lead.eventbrite.com. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ellen Osei. I am an occupational therapist, current doctoral student at Columbia, and I run 2 nonprofits, one called Raising Hope and the other one called the Class Network. And I'm going to talk about the Class Network because it's all about class stands for a Circle of Ladies Above Societal Standards, and it's all about supporting each woman on her journey to finding whatever her purpose or passion may be, and also exploring her power. And I say that because a lot of the times I come to events that are, all about women empowerment, and it's great, and everybody's encouraging each other, but then right after, nobody knows where to go to, who to talk to, where to get support from. They're contacting that person they got the card from, and that person's too busy. So, it's really all about mentoring and that long-term support, and really filling in that gap that we're not seeing. So really, what we're focusing on is a big project called Journey to the Crown. And it's about every woman's journey to finding who she really is and really reflecting on her story to find out what that power is and what her purpose is. So you could be somebody who is experiencing some self-hate or hopelessness or insecurities, and the point is to help you on that journey to self-love, self-determination, and healing. Because if you don't know who you are, you can't change your story, or you can't live in your truth if you don't know what your truth is. So really helping you to get to that point. And we held a conference in February, and we're currently doing a 90-day course with a few women that are here today. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming. And really, it's just all about mentoring, about supporting each other. And anyone could be on this journey. Like, I need mentoring. Like, I always need mentoring. You could be somebody who's like still kind of in the darkness, and you know that you want to come out of it, but you don't know which way to go. Or maybe you found out, okay, I might have an idea of what I want to do, but now I need resources. Or maybe you're that big shot that's, on TV or has your own company and has a business, but for some reason you're burnt out, you lost your zeal, and you don't know why. And so we all need that cycle of just support and mentoring and love. So you can catch me in the back if you're interested, the class network, and we have something coming in September as well. So thank you for listening, and I hope to support you.
Is there anybody here from Eritrea? Because I feel like I'm by myself in this room, but okay. My name is Yorit Tewelda, and I am from Dallas, Texas. I came in this morning for this amazing event that I'm already inspired by, and it's only day one. I'm a criminal defense attorney and a legal analyst, and my goal is to promote equal access to justice and closing that disparities gap in the criminal justice system that we all know disproportionately and unfairly targets people of color, including immigrants, right? So I'm just doing my small part to move the culture forward, to change that narrative, as I'm sure all of you are, and I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you, Face to Face, for the recognition. Looking forward to this weekend.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. And as I mentioned, they will be around for the networking reception. They will be around tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. So feel free to network with them. All right. So for our next panel discussion, our next panel discussion, business and technology, and we're actually so sad because we're missing a panelist. She's stuck in Chicago somewhere, and that's Fumbi Chima. We were so looking forward to having her join the panel, but she actually just got a new role this year. She was previously the Chief Information Officer for Burberry, and just last week she got a new role as the Chief Information Officer for the Fox Network Group. And this week she's had so much going on, so she sent her apologies. She's actually stuck in Chicago trying to make it here, but she looks forward to joining us next year for sure. But I'd like to introduce our moderator for this incredible panel. We have the pleasure of having veteran anchor at New York One, Miss Cheryl Wills. Cheryl joined the broadcasting company during its launch in 1992, and this year she's celebrating her 25th anniversary with the television network. The award-winning journalist is the author of Die Free, A Transformation from a Tennessee Slave into a Courageous Civil War Soldier who honorably served with the United States Colored Troops from 1863 to 1865. Cheryl has interviewed some of the most powerful people in the world, including the first female president of Africa, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Please welcome Ms. Cheryl Wills.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever women of the African diaspora get together, there is power present in this room. Do you feel the power today? I feel empowered after hearing all of those amazing speakers. We hope to continue that now. My name is Cheryl Wills. The reason my last name is Wills, and I just want to say this so you get to know me, is because my great-great-great-grandfather was sold to a slave trader named Edmund Wills. And that name carried down to me. I was born in New York City. My family's been here for 200 plus years. I am the first in my family to reconnect with the African roots. I did a DNA. Thank you. You don't know how proud I am of that. I did a DNA test and they compared it to the databases on the motherland. And they found that I was related to people in Ghana, in Nigeria. But the most dominant strain were the Bamaliki people of Cameroon. Yes, we are cousins. I could see it, girl. And the reason I say that is because no matter how we have come from Mother Africa, we're all connected. We're all connected. I'm tired of the divisions. We didn't create the divisions, but we are here to reunite. That's why I'm here today. So I am excited to present to you business because I am all about business and I think you are too. It's all about how do you get ahead? How do you pull those who are coming through the door after you, as was discussed earlier. So we have an amazing panel. I want you to welcome to the stage Dana Reed. Dana Reed is the interim CEO of the Africa Center. Most recently, she was the CEO of Pan-African Investment Company, a private investment company that made impact investments in SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa. Dana continues to advise and invest in SMEs on the continent. Prior to joining PIC, Dana was a managing director at Semper Capital. That's a structured credit asset management company with $1.5 billion. Please welcome her. Also here tonight is Lucy Quist. Lucy Quist is the managing director of Airtel Ghana. Lucy is the first Ghanaian woman to lead a multinational telecommunications company in Ghana. A passionate believer in excellence and integrity, Lucy successfully transitioned from a core engineering background to become one of Africa's leading telecommunications business leaders. Welcome to you. Uchente Emuliomo. Thank you. Thank you, Uchente. Please welcome her. She is a Vice President, Corporate Counsel in Prudential's Employment and Labor Law Department. In this position, she provides employment law counsel and advice to human resources and business leaders regarding all aspects of the employment relationship, including recruiting, performance, management, discipline, termination, and corporate restructuring. Very impressive. And Adina Bayo is also here. She's the founder and CEO of Adina Bayo and Companies, which is the parent company that owns IHOP franchises in Patterson and Irvington, New Jersey. She also has an amazing real estate portfolio with more than $225 million in urban redevelopment projects. Because of this success, Because of the success of her flagship IHOP in Irvington, she is the second largest employer in that township. Welcome our amazing panel. So we have 4 dynamic women who have poked holes in that ceiling of business. My first question to each of you, 3 words very similar to the prior panel. 3 powerful adjectives that describe you. Let's start with you.
Oh, right.
Relentless. vivacious, and unapologetic for anything that I represent.
Good to be with you all. Is this on? The first one would be driven, hungry, and creative.
Good evening, everyone. It's on. Okay, good evening. I would say Christian, ambitious, and determined.
Hi, good to be here. I think I'll say I'm relentless, determined, and extremely hardworking.
So starting with you now, Adena, let's talk about how you define yourself in your sphere of work.
I think in a couple of ways. I think my purpose in my journey and what I do is really working in disenfranchised communities and bringing projects that are catalysts to bringing other things. So my IHOPs just on IHOPs. There are IHOPs that represent jobs in communities that otherwise wouldn't survive or thrive. So I think in my definition, I think I call myself a servant. I am extremely always interested in how we as a community can sort of build ourselves up and take care of each other. So I'm always asking myself this question: am I solving a problem? Am I solving a problem that persists in our communities? And right now, the problem that persists is chronic unemployment. The unemployment that no one talks about is that single mother that's doing hair in her basement, and that's how she's getting by, but she's unemployed. So I'm always looking to fill in and solve a problem within my community.
Right, and a follow-up question for you. As an employer, as a large employer, how do you reinvest into the community, especially the African American and African community and Caribbean community? Because that's a big problem with us. A lot of people take, but they don't give back. So, and that's how we as a people will lift ourselves up, by the reinvestment and of our communities. So what are your companies doing?
So my companies, I have my real estate holding company. I do affordable housing. I was someone that was a product of affordable housing. When I came to this country, I lived in what you would call then the projects. And now what I do is I built affordable housing, but from a perspective of someone that lived there. What did I want to see when I develop a project? I'm currently working on 114 units that are going to be in use in October. And it's going to be probably one of the first affordable housing in New Jersey that have granite countertops.
Wow.
So
that deserves a round of applause. That's impressive.
So I'm always thinking, as someone that is a product of the disenfranchisement of our community, how can I build it up, but from a perspective of when you know better, you do better.
Do better. Brilliant, brilliant. And that sister's from Liberia, by the way. Yeah. How do you define yourself?
I think my definition of self has evolved over time, and I think from a background of being a happy, nerdy girl. I was very happy being nerdy. I love science. I love mathematics. I'm a chartered electrical and electronic engineer. And to be honest, I really thought nothing of it growing up. I just did those things because I genuinely enjoyed those things. And I continue to work in technology, running a telecommunications company. But what I say to people is that hard work that you put in at a young age and the thing you're really passionate about pays off in the end, because I say academic and professional success creates platforms where we can influence people. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't done anything with myself. And today, what I'm really passionate about is the fact that I believe in business. I believe that every country that has successfully developed and created enough opportunities for self-actualization for its people has done that through business. And actually, one of the challenges we have, whether it's amongst in America amongst African Americans or in Africa as a continent, is that we need to create more large-scale businesses. Good business is good for communities, it's good for countries. And we need to think on such a large scale if we're going to move the needle. So what I define myself as now is a businesswoman who works on creating prosperity for people, because ultimately that's what it's about. How does my business, my work ensure that people create prosperity? And I'm not talking wealth. I'm not talking about the money to buy the latest handbag. I'm talking about the money that ensures that when you wake up in the morning, you're not thinking about survival. You're thriving. You're going beyond survival. Right. I'm talking about the money that ensures that you're not worried about your child's education. That education is a given. I'm talking about the money that will make you that grandmother who, when your grandchild comes to you, you can give them $20 because it's nothing to you, and here's a bit of pocket change. So they start to learn that prosperity has to transcend generations. And for me, that's what great business should do.
And obviously you believe strongly in generational wealth, which is another key thing.
100%.
Yeah, generational wealth is
extremely important
to all of this.
Absolutely. And I think it's one of the things that has in some ways held us back. When I started, I said one of the adjectives was a Christian woman. And I see my faith as a practical faith. I go to church and I fellowship, but it has to translate into what I do every single day. And even the Bible teaches us that it uses the word man, but it applies to all of us, man and woman, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Yes. That is that what I do today has to be of benefit to my grandchild. Forget my child, that's a given. Yes. My grandchild has to get something else of being my grandchild. And that's what I don't think we do enough of anymore. I think that, back in the day, a long time ago in Africa, it was a given. Somehow we lost touch with that a little bit, and we need to go back to it, that if I need to make a short-term sacrifice today to ensure that that grandchild has a better life, I'll do it.
Great. How do you define yourself?
Lucy, I feel like you just set me up so well. George, you're in the room, you're hearing this. I'm just so happy to be with you. Prudential is one of the title sponsors of this event. Prudential's goal since 1875 has been growing and protecting your wealth. And when it really started almost 200 years ago, if you really think about it, it was growing and protecting white wealth. Now it is growing and protecting everyone's wealth, and we are at the table just like everyone else. What I do, I will be completely honest with you, I am not on the business side of the law department, I am the corporate side of the law department. So I'll be honest, I do not make money for my firm, but I explain to them how to save money, I explain to them how to mitigate risk, and I've had some opportunities, especially on the Africa side, how to develop business, how to think about growing in other jurisdictions. We're in the United States, we're in Europe and Latin America, we're hugely in Japan. Very few people know that Prudential there are more employees in Japan than there are in the United States with Prudential. It's a national company, but we have international breadth. But there are, just a fun fact, there are more people that buy adult diapers in Japan than buy Pampers.
Wow.
So there's an aging community. Can anyone tell me which continent does not have an aging community? It's Africa. I'm not going to say we're late to the table, but we're getting there. And we're thinking about investment in Africa. Everyone can tell you, in West Africa, and South Africa, and East Africa, over 50% of the population is under 40 years old. There's a burgeoning middle class. And at Prudential, we have a group of people that are trying to develop the African business story. Just recently, I'm not sure if you saw in the Wall Street Journal, we just made a significant investment in an insurance company in Ghana. And this will be something interesting in the next 3 to 5 years, we've just invested in it, maybe we can develop it and brand it as a Prudential company. So in the next 5 to 7 years, Prudential will be on the continent of Africa, and I'm very excited about that.
Wow.
In terms, thank you, Lucy, just setting it up so well. For a lot of women in here, I see, when I just walked in, I thought the shoes were gorgeous, I thought the dresses were gorgeous, but again, at Prudential, what do? We talk about growing and protecting your wealth. And there's one thing I tell a lot of people and a lot of financial advisors, George, you'll hear me, for women especially, if it's on your ass, it's not an asset.
Well, I want to post. Can I make a poster of that and frame it? That is brilliant. That is truly brilliant.
The handbags, the money you spend at the hair salon, the shoes. Think about growing and protecting your wealth. Think about, you're buying your first home, you're buying your second home, you're buying an investment property. These are the things that white people have been doing for quite a long time, and we need to get on that bandwagon. And the thing about it is, in terms of Africans, we have the education. We're just getting there with the infrastructure and the financing. So in terms of developing your own business and saving for the future, it's nice to go out to restaurants and enjoy yourself and live in the moment, but you always have to think about tomorrow, and that is what Prudential is all about.
Bravo, bravo. Dana, how do you define yourself in your work world?
In my work world, I am a builder and an executor. So at this stage of my career, what I enjoy doing and what I believe in, some of what Lucy was saying, is building in our community, for our community, about our community. So that means nonprofits like the Africa Center. That's why I stepped in to be the CEO to get that project in our neighborhood, which is in Harlem, but it represents the entire diaspora of contemporary Africa. I did this because I can do these jobs now. And whether it's nonprofit, for-profit, it's all about leadership, capital, execution, period, point blank. And that's what I enjoy. That's what I've spent my career sort of gaining the skills to do. At the same time, as an impact investor, the hardest thing for any startup is that seed capital, right? And the white boys get it, right? Because they have generational wealth,
right? Which
is what we're talking about,
right?
And we just typically don't have that. So for us to start our own businesses it's just difficult. And so I focus a lot of my time on trying to build small businesses both here and on the continent, because ultimately our own businesses are what is going to create our own jobs, which will allow us to educate our own children and so forth and so on. And then you start to really, you can see that path to generational wealth, because it's education, it's running businesses, it's all of that. So I define myself as a builder by and for our community.
Right. I want to go off script and ask a question of all of you dynamic women that affects probably everyone here. And I want to start with you, Lucy. When we walk into our business, when we're starting off our careers, no one takes us seriously. How do each of you break past that barrier to get people to respect you when they are initially inclined to think you're a joke? I mean, is that a fair question?
Yeah.
People don't take us seriously. They don't. And for a lot of sisters, they give up when people just, enough of those, and they say, forget it. So we need to know what kept all of you strong to succeed.
The early years of really developing your skills and your competence and knowing your stuff and having a learning spirit, that means that you're continually on a journey of improving yourself, helps, because you have to have everything clear and sorted inside to give yourself a voice. And I smiled when you asked that question because, I've been CEO of Airtel now for over 3 years. And I remember so well, clear as day, when I came into the job at first, I'd probably been there a few weeks, and we had a conference call. And the conference call was with our headquarters team. And the guys on the call, with all due respect, were leaders as well, functional leaders, none of them my boss. So you go on this call, and right at the beginning of the call, these, mainly men, in fact all men, thought they were going to, tell me what to do and how to do my job. And I'm thinking, well, actually, if I hadn't proven that I could do this job, I wouldn't be in this job. And so I put them in their place, tell them exactly what we're going to do, which is not what they asked for. We ended the call, and I waited for the call, and the call came. The call came from my boss, who says, "Oh, the guy said they had a call with you. You weren't very nice to them. You didn't listen." And I thought, this is it. That's it, right? That's it. Yeah. And I was expecting the call. And I asked him, who's in charge of this place? Who runs this place? When the P&L is not looking good, who are you going to call? Are you going to call them or call me? Well, seeing as you're going to call me, when we go on that call, they don't tell me what to do. I tell them what we're going to do, and we support.
So what's that strategy? What is that? Courage?
You have to know your stuff. Yeah, know your business. And as a business leader, knowing your business, it means building your own skill and having the learning spirit I spoke about. But it's also equally knowing the right people to have on your team. Because some of the stuff, if it's legal, if it's something that is really technical in a legal aspect, I'm not a lawyer. I know that, and my head of legal is a woman. If I go to Hannah, she is not going to let anything scratch me. Nothing. So know your stuff, have your right team, and put people in their place politely, with humility, but put them in their place, because they never asked me that question again. That call never came again. I had to deal with the first one. And it's because over the course of my career, of course, I've had that call in so many different forms and guises that I knew the call would come. I was expecting it. I was waiting for it. I'd have been disappointed if it hadn't come.
Adina.
But you've got to be confident and go with it.
Confidence is key. Adina, how do you deal with that? Surely dealing with IHOP, a major franchise, you've dealt with that as well. What's your strategy?
I think in 2007, I was the youngest franchisee in their history. I was 25 years old.
Wow, talking to the mic, sweetie.
In 2007, with IHOP Corporate, I was the youngest IHOP franchisee they've ever had.
Wow.
I was, on the whole Northeast, the only black woman.
Wow.
And I think nationally, the only one to 100% own her own company, franchises as well. So when I first applied to be a franchisee, they turned me down 3 times. I was told no 3 times because, I had a net worth. I had the liquidity to be an IHOP franchise, and the excuse they told me was, I don't have the real restaurant experience. Yeah, and not having the real restaurant experience, they didn't believe in my skill set. But I think sometimes we as women, you have got to dissect the true meaning to what people are saying to you, and be able to have the courage to still continue on your journey. I could have given up at the 3rd no. At the 3rd time when they told me no, I actually put a phone call in at IHOP Corporate. And I remember the person that picked up was a sister. And I knew I had a window in. When she picked up the phone, I said, my name is Adina. I applied. This is the 3rd time turning me down. She said, yeah, read a letter. And I said, but wait a minute. I need a follow-up. The conversation went on. It was going to be a 5-minute conversation. It went on for an hour. And I think, this call always gets emotional for me. And she said to me, wow, Adina, I've never spoken to anyone with such a passion
to do this. I'm going to resend the letter. I'm going to open the door for you. You're going to walk through that door. You're on your own. I'm going to fly you down to California for you to plead to the board why you should be an AHA franchisee. Wow. And I remember flying in there, coming back with a yes. And it's just not about getting a yes. It's about being prepared to do the work.
You were prepared.
And people don't have to take you seriously. You just have to take yourself seriously.
Listen, how did you deal with the haters?
You say that in past tense.
Sorry, how do you deal with the haters?
I will take it back to early in my first job, because it gave me a skill set that nobody can take from me. So I went to Howard undergrad, Howard University for my undergrad, and I went to Howard's Business School for my MBA. At the time, Goldman Sachs and the other bulge bracket banks were not recruiting at my graduate school. So I told you I'm just relentless. What did I do? I went to all the black alumni stuff at the Ivy League schools, and found my way into interviews at all of the banks. I ended up at Goldman Sachs. My class was 125 in the investment banking division. I was the only black person worldwide.
Oh, wow.
They had a South Africa office at the time, so even that. Right? And I didn't care, because I wanted to be at what at the time was deemed to be the best place where I could just get the training that I needed. I wanted the right deals. I just wanted to learn the business inside and out. Why? Because it was hard. I mean, it was hard to be there solo. Like, the next African American was 10 years my senior, who was working on partner. So, it was an extremely difficult time, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because what it gave me was resilience, and a skill set that nobody will ever be able to take away from me. I had to do twice as many deals as my classmates. But I was like, thank you, because I know twice as much as you now, right? Like, that was dumb. Like, thank you. That was an opportunity. And so I stayed in this traditional, bulge bracket investment banking for as long as I felt I needed to learn what I needed, and to, frankly, to build cash, to save. The bonuses were not bad by any means, but it was always a trajectory for me. And so I would say about 10 years into my career, I switched to the other side, and really started focusing more on like minority firms and minority businesses, and then subsequently to Africa. And so there's haters everywhere, but the confidence I have, just it almost is like, here's the hand. Like, it doesn't matter, because you don't know what I've been through to get here. And so it doesn't matter what you think.
For me, Cheryl, it's very interesting. I look in the back here, it's Pan-African Women Forum. And I've been practicing law almost 25 years. For the first 5 years, I worked at a Park Avenue law firm, and I did not experience racism. Even though I felt I was the only African American or black person there, it was more sexism than racism. I will never forget my first trial, 1994 or 5. We're in the Southern District of New York. That's 500 Pearl Street, where all the main courthouse is. And we're doing cross-examination where we have 8 witnesses lined up. There's a lunch break, and I've gotten a witness. This is fantastic. I'm a second-year associate. I have a witness to cross-examine. I must have slept at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I memorized my entire cross-examination of this person.
Wow.
And then we went to lunch. And then the gentleman, I was the only woman on the trial team. The gentleman went to the restroom and came out, and I said, oh, I'm ready to cross-examine Nate, or whoever it was. And Kevin told me, oh, we decided we're going to take him out of order, or we're going to wait till the subpoena comes out, or something along those lines. And I'm like, when did you decide that? In the men's room. The only place that I couldn't go. More strategy happens at the urinal than you would care to imagine.
Wow.
And I found out consistently, whether it was at a deposition or a settlement conference or at a mediation that I went with men, they were constantly talking about things in the John.
Wow.
And then I said, something is wrong with this picture. You know, I'm thinking there are 400 attorneys at this law firm. I'm the only black person. That's got to be an obstacle. It wasn't. It was, we're golfing on the weekend with these people. We're not doing this with her. We're doing this, we're doing that. And I said, you know what? I have a 5-year plan. I'm here for 5 years to get my experience. I've always wanted to counsel employers. I'm an employment lawyer. All things human resources related, whether it's sexual harassment or age discrimination or terminations. I enjoy that kind of work because I like working with people. And I've been doing it for almost 20 years at a corporation that appreciates diversity, that appreciates women, that appreciates people of color, that appreciates transgender and LGBT communities, the whole gamut. So that's fine. I'm very happy where I am. But the interesting thing is I didn't let that bother me. I just said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna create my own. I'm gonna create my own. And I decided to have a niche of counseling clients.
Right.
I'm not gonna do, you know what? If the trial strategy changes at the urinal, I'm not gonna do trial work anymore. Wow. I'm gonna do counseling of clients. And I became the go-to person at the firm that counseled clients on day-to-day human resources issues. So someone was caught stealing in the cafeteria or someone sexually harassed somebody. I became the expert on that, and that's where I parlayed it to doing counseling for a corporation. You would be surprised the things that happen at a corporation every day. They're calling the employment lawyers to deal with daily issues, whether domestic or international.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, now, parlaying it to what I have here at Prudential, since I've been there almost 20 years, you know what, at all levels, it's interesting, I mentioned I don't make money for the firm, but I save money for the firm, and sometimes I save people in terms of, there's something you did, there's an issue, but I can advocate to keep your job and give you another chance, whereas someone may not do that because I can advocate for you. Or I can, if there's a downsizing, this is corporate America, and someone says, you know what, there are 10 people that have to be downsized. You know what, Jane was on maternity leave, she hasn't been working for 6 months, we're gonna add her to the list. The first question I ask is, rank those people 1 to 10. I guarantee you Jane is not number 10. Jane is not number 10. They do rank those people. Jane's number 4. She happens to be on maternity leave. Bob is number 10. I think we're getting rid of Bob.
Okay, so we're going to go to Q&A at 8:30. I want to ask this question. I have 2 questions I got to get in before we go to Q&A at 8:30. So I'm going to ask for a 30-second answer to this question. How do you juggle family life? Right? How do you juggle? That's an issue that affects a lot of women who are breaking into business. Start with you. How do you juggle family life with your career?
So I'm a single mother of 10-year-old identical twin boys. And it's all a blessing to me. It's not a juggle. Like, I take it as a blessing that I am able to have the jobs that I've had. One, I'm grateful for them, obviously, but like my job takes me to Africa, and some of you in the room, you know, you've met my boys, so sometimes they come with me, right? And is that a bad thing? Like, no, but the nanny wasn't available and I got to work, so we're all going. And actually, the last time I took them was to Ghana for a face-to-face Legacy Awards.
Wow.
And so think about what that means, right? As you know, they're 4th graders about to start the immigration subjects at school, or you know, the slavery discussions. My son saw me getting dressed for a black tie event in Ghana. They saw, like, their perception of Africa is far different than any of their peers. So to me, the juggle is getting up every morning to do my part in this entire equation, which is not just for them, but it's for the community. You know, you think about it, like, there's 2 black boys from Harlem that only know their mom is a CEO. That's not a bad thing. So the juggle is just a blessing for me.
Amen. You integrate them into your life. Amen. Wonderful. Adina, how do you juggle family and your career?
So I have 2 kids. I have 2 children. I have a daughter and a son. And I think you don't juggle, you don't balance. And I think we have got to stop putting this narrative out there that, you know, you're gonna balance it all. You just can't. There are times where I'm extremely unbalanced. If I am working on starting a fast casual concept called cornbread, it's gonna be the first of its kind. I am putting humongous hours in and day out. It means sometimes my assistant is gonna have to take my daughter to her first swim lesson. Yep. It means there are times that on Saturday when I really wanna be there for ballet, and I have 4 restaurants that collectively are busy. We're seeing about 4,000 people. I'm gonna miss some of those things. But I do say this as a mother, and here the compromise. And I tell you have to find a mate that is ultimately a feminist. You have got.
Agreed.
I have been so blessed. I'm here today. I have been on the road since 4 a.m. this morning. Wow. And my partner, my spiritual partner, we're not married because that definition just doesn't work for me. He dropped off the kids this morning. He picked up. And I have been extremely blessed because I wouldn't be a balanced woman if I was not a working woman. I wouldn't be the mother I am today. I would not be whole if I weren't able to be a mother to everyone else. I am mothering my businesses, and I am a mother to my employees in my community. And it's important for my kids to see a role model, a woman that is sufficient in her work, but also sufficient at home. When I am home, I'm home. My phone is not on, and my staff know that. So it's about taking this narrative that there are times you are going to feel unbalanced, but be okay with that.
Okay, great. Lucy, let's try to do 30 seconds because we want to do a drop mic moment and then open Q&A.
I'll be really quick, and I'll rather give you a scenario to bring the picture home, because for me it's about allowing all the people around me who want to help me achieve so many different things, allowing them to be those people who are there for me. And I'm really fortunate with, particularly my mother, my husband. They're unbelievable. I mean, Jennifer sitting there is my husband's first cousin, so she's here representing her cousin. And then my friend Robin over there also knows you. So when I went to business school in France, I was absolutely privileged to go to INSEAD. And my mother, I had a young baby. My first son was 5 months old the day I arrived at INSEAD. I arrived with a baby, first-time mother. Didn't know what I was doing. I was still nursing him at the time. My mother spent the entire year with me. In fact, most people in our neighborhood assumed she was his mother, right? My husband was working in banking in London. He would come to France every single weekend, go to the supermarket, make sure we have food, and the baby has his clothes, and everybody. So for me, it goes without saying that village, that army, they raise a child, they also create leaders, right? Sometimes it takes an entire army to create a leader, and they're the ones who create balance for me, who allow me to be here while the kids are in Ghana with their dad. So I'm grateful.
So you got to get a feminist man, girls. That's what they're all saying.
Cheryl, I do want to give a shout out. My husband is in the audience.
Your husband is here. A feminist husband is in the audience. Chante, real quick.
So, really quick. I've been married for 17 years. I have a 15-year-old and a 7.5-year-old. When you have kids 8 years apart, you cannot see the same movie. That is the problem. One is going to see Beauty and the Beast. The other one is going to see Transformers. So you do a lot of divide and conquer. And my parents live in New York, and they're an hour away. They support us when we can. My husband works on Wall Street. He is fortunate enough to come home after the market closes, and he kind of takes over between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock. When I get home, then it's my turn.
Beautiful. This is right now, before we go to Q&A, this is our drop mic moment. In 10 seconds or less, ladies, your favorite quote for these women to take with them that will inspire them? You already hit us with one. If it's on your ass, you beat me to the punch, okay? I want you to pull another one out your ass. Okay? But this is the drop mic moment. It has to be 10 seconds or less. Your favorite saying, your quote to inspire these women. Udina.
I think you asked me to say this.
I did ask you when we were
Yes.
sitting there.
It says, no matter what.
In the mic, sweetheart.
Oh, God. Jesus. It says, no matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up.
Boom! Love it. Love it. Lucy.
So I'll ask you to look up the exact words of this because it's a saying from Kwame Nkrumah, which I'm paraphrasing. And Kwame Nkrumah says that those who criticize us for how far we've come should go back and look at where we came from. So before you criticize where I'm going, look at where I came from and applaud me for how far I've come, because I'm going a lot further than that.
Oh, love it.
Okay, mine is not original, but if you do work in corporate America and you have 99 problems, like Jay-Z, just brush it off your shoulder.
Yes.
And keep moving, keep moving.
Beautiful. Dana.
Failure just is not an option.
Bingo. A round of applause for our amazing panelists. Dynamic leaders, each one in their own right. We're opening up the floor for questions.
Okay, ladies. Here.
Hi, my name is Adiola Adejobi. I'm actually a lawyer, and I work in affordable housing development. And so my question for you, as women that are prominent and have really established yourselves in business, what was one of the strategic career moves that you made that you feel helped you get to where you are today? I think very similar to what some of the things that you said before was like, you know, women are not necessarily invited to drinking after work and all these other activities where men go and make decisions. So as women, sometimes we have to be a little bit more deliberate when we're trying to get ahead in our career. And so this is for any one of the panelists who would like to answer about a strategic career move that helped you get to where you are today.
I think Uchente, you talked about that.
I understand, especially in corporate America, law is the interesting thing is that technology is, we don't care what you look like, how tall you are, what color you are. If you can write source code, if you can deliver the product, it doesn't really matter. In marketing, in advertising, in law, it's about the presentation. It's a lot of things is about the presentation. I graduated from law school in 1993, and for some reason in law school, I always, it's bizarre, I always wanted to get a nose ring. I don't know why. And people said, you just got an offer in a law firm on Park Avenue starting in September. You can't do that. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And I didn't. I just got a nose ring 6 months ago. I told myself, I've been practicing law for 25 years. If they can't handle a part of me, then maybe I shouldn't be working there. And that was just something I did to fulfill something that I wanted to do a long time ago.
Good for you.
But basically, to answer your question, you literally have to insert yourself. Not in such a deliberate way that you become someone that they don't want to interact with. But even if there's something that you're not really interested in doing, try to do those things. The lawyers that I used to work with used to go to cigar bars and whiskey bars. Again, this was 1993, 4, 5. They're the most disgusting places on earth. But I found out more about the people I worked with, and I got more assignments during those cigar and whiskey bar escapades. So you have to continue to roll with the punches and do things that are sometimes outside of your comfort zone if you want to be felt. Because at the end of the day, competence is table stakes. Everyone assumes that you are competent. You're the reason why. I mean, you have people here that went to Stanford, Harvard Business School, Wharton, etc. You deserve to be where you are. The next step is, are they comfortable with you?
Right.
It's unfortunate we're not ruling the world, but we want to be we want to be at the table. And at the end of the day, if they're comfortable with you, the doors will continue to burst open.
Great. Any other questions?
Hi, I want to say, first of all, you all are very inspiring. I think everyone is leaving with many gems to take away, and I'm also going to apply them into my career. And I think that this is directed to Dana and Uchente, because you brought it up. You both worked in Goldman Sachs and you worked in law, and this whole concept of it being a boys' field and things like that. And I work at PwC, and even at my level, people are thinking about, okay, making partner, management consulting, right? And I think even my mentors tell me, well, I think I'm just going to get to this level and then like leave. But then another person will say, no, we have to stay just to be that woman in the room, right? Because you can't be all male partners. How did you reconcile that in leaving Goldman, leaving the law firm, like you said, after you saw that, you weren't in the boys' club?
So nobody made me leave. It just sort of happens. Like I set out with wanting to get a skill set. And that's not a 1 or 2 year thing, right? I also wanted to save money, right? Like when you start to see what they're making, like you want that seat as well, right? And so I stayed for more than a decade, a very long time. And I could still be there, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't fulfilling. I really saw the highest and best use of my time was on the outside. So it wasn't like, oh, I can't make it here, I'm tired of the fight. It was, this is not the fight that I want, and this isn't the fight that that I need to be doing right now. Now, to your point, you make an interesting point about should I have stayed to help sort of the next crew along. I can help them almost better outside than I can inside. Because I've been there, I've done that. I have friends at, not just one bank, at several banks, right? Both here and in Africa. So I didn't, I left when I was ready. And there's nothing wrong with that. I could have stayed, right? But then it's an individual decision. And it's not when my sons came as, I got to leave now, I can't balance. It had nothing to do with that. I wanted to leave. It's that simple.
I think that what's very important is that there are a lot of people here, I don't need a show of hands, that are in jobs that they would rather not be in. And a lot of people are like, I can't leave my job because I just bought a house, I'm helping my parents, I'm doing this, my car note is $600 a month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, again, it's all tied back to Prudential and growing and protecting your wealth. I should be in sales. But I think the true issue is that you have to save and you have to have what we call walk-away money. And the walk-away money is, you know what? I don't have to take this blank from this people anymore. Because you know what? I've got, what does Susie Orman say? I have 9 months emergency savings or something that I can look for a job that I want to do, that I feel I'll be recognized and I can grow. And I'm not sure if I'm going to make partner, whether in PwC or Towers Perrin or whatever firm that you're in, but I have enough to have choices. And a lot of us don't have choices, so we stay in jobs that we're not particularly fulfilled in because we don't have that walk-away money. And that is something, if you take nothing else, start building your walk-away money. And if you like your job, don't walk away. Exactly. Stay there. But you have to you have to create your own choices.
Yeah, wonderful. Any other questions?
Okay, we only have time for one more question, but you can definitely ask the ladies lots of questions in our networking reception. So I'm going to give it to the gentlemen because we don't want to, as women, overpower the room.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Al Reynolds, and I'm a guest of Face to Face Africa. And I got to tell you that I've enjoyed this forum incredibly. I'm really enjoying the relationship also that I'm building with Face to Face Africa. One of the reasons why I came today was I wanted to witness firsthand the greatness, because I am willing to commit money to forums and situations like this. So my question is for the panelists.
We like you already. Bring him up front. We want to give money.
Right,
Wait, where do you work, sir?
20 years in corporate America. I worked at Merrill Lynch, private equity, private banking. I'm now at SiriusXM as a freelancer.
Okay.
The question here, though, is with all you successful women, especially with the banking background, how much money have you raised for this organization?
I will say, once again, Prudential is a title sponsor.
Yes. There's your answer.
And the Africa Center, although we are a nonprofit, we certainly were a supporter at their Ghana Legacy Awards.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was very edifying, was it not? I learned so much from these amazing panelists. From investing, having the 9 months, if it's on your ass, then it's not an asset. Generational wealth, and get you a feminist man. One more time, Flower.
Are the artists speaking?
Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
And don't wait, hold up, don't leave yet. Oops, sorry.
He definitely did.
Yes.
For the organization.
That's why he starred Joe's ex-husband. That's why he
You know what?
he has no
Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists. Haven't you been blessed today? Feeling invigorated? It's been awesome. All right, so as you guys can see, we have a networking reception set up there, so you have lots of opportunities to network, meet some of the panelists. But before you go, I just want to briefly introduce 2 artists who are here with us today, and you see some of their work displayed back there. I just want them to briefly come up to tell us a little bit about themselves and their work before we go there and network, because you're going to love it and you're going to take so many amazing photos back there. So Tamara and Jamila, are you ladies here? Oh, there they are. Can everyone just have a seat for 1 minute? I know it's been a long evening, but we're almost there. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Can everyone please have a seat very quickly? All right.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Okay. Good evening. My name is Tamara Natalie Madden, and I'm a fine artist. I'm a painter. I am from Jamaica, yes. Big up Jamaica, right? But I live in Atlanta. I'm also a professor at Spelman College, where I teach art.
Encourage people to use the hashtag.
I've been creating art since I was very, very young, but I didn't really start pursuing art as a career until I was about 21 years old. And that was a time when I got ill with a very rare genetic disease called IgA nephropathy. It's a kidney disease. And I was on dialysis. And while I was on dialysis, I created art to sort of keep my mind sane. And I didn't really think of art as a potential career choice, of course. But I went back to Jamaica when I was ill. And I found my brother, who was a long-lost brother of mine. And when he saw me frail and dying, he offered a kidney to me. And I still carry that kidney to this day. So that is why I decided to become an artist, because it saved me during the darkest times of my life. I paint images of people. That image over there my art is on the left, by the way. It's just it's not indicative of what I actually paint. I paint women that I feel look like me. They tend to be dark African features, strong lips, strong noses. My mom, who's gorgeous, was very light with long hair, and I could not relate to her in any capacity. And so I had to find a way to do so through my artwork. And so I paint the images I paint to empower. It was identity for myself, to big myself up, but also to empower black people and to help us find our intrinsic, authentic beauty, the thing that lies within. So normally I paint queens and people that have crowns and such on their head. But I'd like to thank Face to Face, and I'd like to thank Toyota for having us here, for featuring our work. And as Toyota says, let's go places. I feel like I'm still going places. So follow my art, Tamara Natalie Madden. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. All right? Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamila Okubo. Oh my God, I can't like it. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. I am a Kenyan African-American Trinidadian artist, so I guess you could say I represent all of the African diaspora. And a lot of my work has been inspired by that and just my journey of learning about who I am and where I come from. I grew up, I was raised by my mother, who is African American, so we have deep Southern roots, in South Carolina, North Carolina. And then I also, through my journey of like learning about where I come from and wanting to know and getting closer to my African roots, like Kenyan and Trinidad, art was or is the portal in which I chose to explore that realm and trying to learn more about where I come from. And fashion also is another platform that I use to create that artwork. I just graduated from Parsons last year, and I've just been working on my artwork and creating new work and figuring out what's next. I'm only 24, so I still have a long way to go. And the inspiration behind my piece, which is called The Future of Africa, I was trying to figure out a way to represent the women who have been on this panel, which has been really inspiring, especially for someone who is a creative but is still learning the business side of being being an entrepreneur and just being confident in your artwork and who you are. I wanted to create a backdrop where it empowered all of the guests and also the speakers to say that we are superheroes and we are the ones who will uplift, the African diaspora and women. A lot of my artwork, which isn't necessarily, represented in this piece, I do a lot of silhouette artwork of Black women with like afros and puffballs, and I use a lot of pattern and bright colors in my work because I'm really inspired by empowering other Black women because I'm going through the journey of like just understanding and learning self-care and like uplifting myself and that stuff. Sorry. But I hope you all get the gist of what I was trying to say. And thank you Face to Face and Toyota for this opportunity. I really appreciate it because it's adding to my journey of where I'm going. Also, just so you all know, I have an art show in Harlem at Calabar Imports, where I'm selling original artwork. So if you are in Harlem, definitely check it out and follow me on Instagram, Jamila Okubo. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone. I want to just thank our panelists, all of our speakers tonight. It has been incredible. Thank you all for joining us. Lucy, I know, just got in from Ghana literally at 4 p.m. and she still made it. So thank you all so much. It's been a wonderful evening. And to you all, we invite you to join us tomorrow at Novotel for the networking mixer, as well as the awards gala on Saturday and the brunch. And you can learn more at the Face to Face Africa table back there and sign up. Enjoy networking and see you all tomorrow.